which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for coming. We're running a little bit with a short-handed crew today, so we'll do the best we can. Okay, beginning with our regular kind of administrative catch-up duties, approval of meeting minutes from the regular April 9th meeting.
Yes, I looked over, I read the minutes. There was just a little adjustment to be made, but there's two to approve, is that right?
We only had one on the
Just
on the
the
agenda.
one.
Is there special
I'm
meeting
sorry,
minutes?
there is, yes, I forgot to put, there's a special meeting from the
Okay.
16th.
Yep,
Okay.
and the special meeting from the 16th. That was our
Okay.
work session.
I would make a motion to approve both then.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Todd. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. With that done, we'll move into our two reports we get on a monthly basis, starting with community corrections and Brett Barton.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brett.
This morning, we have 86 clients on our program. 3 are on pretrial release. We only have 1 juvenile and no one on CTP, but we are expecting our first CTP client since last August, so that's refreshing. It's a good money generator for our program. We did submit all of our fiscal audit documents at the end of April, and they're saying no answer on that until like December 1st. Doesn't surprise me. We should hear back from our grant in late July.
Did you say 86?
Yes.
86 clients.
Is that lower than normal?
It is.
I was gonna say, that seems like a lower number. That's good, I think,
It's
right?
been trending lower. A lot of it has to do with Superior Court and some of the driving offenses. Those are being turned into infractions instead of criminal offenses.
Okay.
Which is fine. That's one reason our numbers are a little bit low, I think.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Brett? All right, thank you for the update.
Thanks, Brett.
And then we have Nancy with us today for a probation update. After a couple of months of some big numbers, we
Yes.
went back.
Finally got those juveniles off to where they needed to be. And, yeah, last month we didn't have any detention costs. It can stay that way for the rest of the year, that's fine.
That would be great,
Yeah,
yes.
that'd be great. Those were some challenging times. We had one juvenile that we actually got her admitted to a state hospital. That's the first one ever that we had qualify for state hospital. So we have several that certainly should be. We'd prefer that they go that route versus Department of Corrections. So it's just a tough battle getting mental health to take them that way versus DOC. So we'll continue to try to get them that way, but it's just there's so many hoops you have to jump through, and there's limited space. But she certainly qualified. I'm working on the next year's peer recovery coach grant. That's due May 29th.
Okay,
That's all I have.
okay, all right. Good update. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, that moves us on to the new business portion of the meeting, and we'll begin with, first item is the CF1 annual approval of the tax abatement data reporting on the Form CF1 for Phillips Saw and Tool, and it's Janowith Real Estate Holdings. And so here to speak to that, if you care to, is Jordan Janowith. Say a few words, and we have all that data in our packet with those numbers, the annual reporting. But Jordan, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. So just to recap, we have, I guess I should say, let me start, excuse me. I'm proud to say that I know that we have leaned on the heavy and exceeded our investment in regards to technology and equipment. And so the reason that is important is from the transition from my grandfather to my father. And now with Sally and I in the business is always having a firm foundation and recognizing if we can have really precise equipment and really smart people, that we can change the industry with smaller numbers than other companies that like to go a different direction. And so we finished with 11 people. We actually have 3 part-time. And so the goal has always been, we never slow down anything on the investment for the equipment in the foundation. And so that's why we've started to take on more, even part-time, to assist with those positions that have been left open. And so like anybody else, we are doing hiring, and then sadly, people are exiting. And so for us, it's been a battle like other places are seeing, but strategically, we are moving things internally, and so now the rest of the ownership voted me as CEO and president, and so Jeff is in a teaching role, and so what we're trying to do is make the most of what we have. And so with some of those reduced numbers, we're still trying to get employment up and then have people actually stay. And so that has been the big thing for us, is creating an environment where they can. But if something from a larger factor that comes by, we'll still do what we can, and then they understand we'll give them our best shot. And so at least the last couple of people that have left, they've left on great terms. And so that's important for us because situations change, and I also want people back, and I want them to come back. But those are the 2 main things that we usually try to always have. How are we investing? How can we continue to employ more people in Clinton County for us? And then also with the big dollar and cents with the equipment and just the financial investment.
So I think what I hear you saying is there's a bit of a focus towards more automation
Yes.
to try to rely on less people, but do it more with technology and automation
Well, there's-
process.
Yes, well, sorry, let me make the correction. There's the difference, right? I still need very skilled people, and we actually need more people. The difference is I'm increasing my capacity. So just with us and where we are, the whole goal is to increase the amount that we can actually produce. And so for us, it's having the larger, smarter equipment. And so I just need more skilled people.
Yeah.
And yes, so it's really about us increasing our capacity to shorten the lead time. So we're actually still, so long story short, it's something that would take us 7 days now, Alan, we're trying to finish in 1 or 2. So by allowing more people and more equipment to come in, hopefully we can get more business to come in.
Okay. Any other questions for Jeff about the worldwide headquarters at Phillips Saw and Tool? Jordan, I'm sorry. Sorry, wrong name, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, we have the numbers in front of us. So as Jordan alluded to, we're high on investment, a little lower than what we'd projected on employment, but we're making up for some of that with part-time employment. We
Yes.
just are a little lower than expected on the full-time employment for those reasons that you cited. Any other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion for Phillips Saw and Tool being in substantial compliance with their abatement projections or requests.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Todd and a second by Mike. All those in favor, raise your right hand. That motion carries 4-0 with Jeff abstaining. Then we have a second one that is the one for Chenoweth Real Estate Holdings. So this is the building. The other one we just did was for the equipment. This is for the building upgrades that were done back in, what year was that? Jay, you probably know, right? June 2015. So 15, 16. So I'd entertain a motion, same numbers, entertain a motion that is also in substantial compliance.
Make that motion.
So a motion by Mike, second by Mary, that we'll approve this CF1. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 4-0, again with Jeff abstaining. Unless you have any other comments, you're done for another year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jordan.
Hard work.
Yeah.
That's right.
Alan, I received another CF1 yesterday in the mail. This one's for Hardy Hills. Would you like it to go today or next month?
Next month, so that we
Okay.
can have a chance to look at it.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, opioid settlement committee recommendations, and we have Laura here as the spokesperson for the group, and we'll hear more about.
Does everyone have a?
We have it in our packets,
Okay,
Laura.
all right.
Hear about the recommendations from this group's continued work.
So I'm here to represent the opioid settlement committee and talk to you about the recommendations that have been made. In your packet, you can see I went ahead and listed all the voting members. Other people can come to this committee, but only these people listed are voting members when it comes to the funds. So we talked and we were trying to figure out what was the best way to come up with a system to distribute these dollars. And as you know, further dollars have come in from additional settlements. And so we decided that we wanted to come up with an application for the funding, which we did, and then we distributed that. Those applications will be received on a rolling basis, but we decided that really the best way to do that would be to present those to the city and county just twice a year in the spring and fall, so that we're not coming to you all the time and taking your time up. So in this first spring applications, there were 5 applications received, and all of them were recommended for at least partial funding, with recommendations of $50,330 for the city and $60,330 for the county. All funding recommendations qualify under restricted or unrestricted funding. You have enough in both of those to cover these funds. Our recommendation is that you go ahead and use your restricted funding, because all of these fall under the restricted funding category. In the future, you could have a request that maybe is questionable and would fall under that. So our recommendation is that you use the restricted funding, since these follow under that easily. The applications were received from the Frankfort Police Department, a joint first responder application, 180, Recovery Resources, Clinton County EMS, and We Care. I've kind of given you a brief summary of each one. The one from Frankfort Police Department is for an incinerator to destroy medications. The cost to do that has really skyrocketed, and that's a cost that's incurred by Frankfort Police Department and by the Health Department by purchasing this incinerator. It would help both of those departments to keep those costs down. That's something that they could use together. It would also increase the ability for us to have drug take-back events. I can tell you that we did have one in partnership with FPD, Healthy Communities, and the Health Department. It was freezing cold, pouring down rain, and we did it for an hour, and we collected 2 garbage bags full of medications. And so I can just imagine what that would be like if it was a nice day. So we know that's a need, and we haven't been having as many just because of the ability to destroy those medications. Obviously, medications off the street decrease overdoses. So having this incinerator would be able to increase those types of events, and also be able to give an additional box where people could put medications to destroy. So the total cost of that project is $7,160. The in-kind contribution is from the Health Department, from their budget. The funding request is $4,160, split evenly from the city and the county. The next one is a first responder joint application with Central Dispatch, EMS, the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, and the Fire Department. And this really is for critical incident debriefs and mental health services for our first responders. We know that that is very key for our first responders, and that falls under the Connections to Care and First Responder Wellness Support Services. We want to take care of our first responders. We feel like this is very important. The total cost of the project's $50,000, and that would be $10,000 for each one of these departments. The recommendation is $20,000 from the city and $30,000 from the county, and that's just because of what entity they fall under. Those would be payable $10,000 to each entity, and we recommend that those agreements or MOUs would be with each individual organization. The next one is from 180 Recovery Resources. It's just for startup operations related to their expansion project. Obviously, they have the DMHA grant to cover the construction. What is not covered in that, though, is programming for the increase in census, and they eventually will qualify for Medicaid and Medicare reimbursement for those beds, but it takes a year to get reimbursement on those additional beds. So the total cost of that is $10,000, and the recommendation is $5,000 from the city and $5,000 from the county. The next one is EMS, and this is for a mechanical ventilator. This one actually came in as just treating opioid use disorder and first responder, or just as treating opioid use disorder. But once we talked about it, Stephen talked about how it would be also used for paramedic training. So we actually expanded those approved core abatement strategies to include first responder education and training, because it will be used. So those are a couple core abatement strategies that we actually added on. So we talked about this, and it obviously every time it gets used, it's not going to be for an opioid overdose situation. But a large majority of the time that they use mechanical ventilation, they are overdose situations. And then we had a long discussion about this is county EMS, but the truth is the majority of the overdoses happen in the city limits. And so we felt like it was fair to divide the cost, which is $16,500 evenly between the city and the county, since even though it's a county entity, the majority of the overdoses occur within the city limits. So we felt like it was fair to divide that $8,250 from the city and $8,250 from the county. The last one was We Care Recovery Home, and theirs is a mental health and wellness initiative. And it falls under several core abatement strategies, obviously. The total cost of the project was $86,250, and they were requesting $63,750. Our recommendation was for $30,000. There were some questions about sustainability and billable services, and so we've actually invited them to come and speak at the next meeting to talk about those things. We're open to funding maybe more of this after we have that discussion. Our recommendation is $15,000 from the city and $15,000 from the county. I've already presented to the city and to the commissioners on these, and it was approved by the city. The next steps would be the approved agencies would sign agreements with the city or county, just like we did prior with the other funding, and the approved agencies would still be required to submit the data to Healthy Communities. And once we request it, we haven't received reporting guidelines for the new settlement dollars, but I would think they're going to be similar to what we've done before. And if you look on the website, we're one of the very few counties who's done their reporting. So we've stayed up to date on that, and we will get it in as soon as they release it and tell us a due date. We'll get that in, and then I will be happy to continue to assist the city and county getting those reports in and doing all of those things. We did divide this out. When you look through this and you see like the approved core abatement strategies and the intended outcomes and goals, we set that up very specifically so that it leans to the reporting data. And that made it much easier for us the first time with the first data reporting. I know a lot of counties struggled, but I felt like we had set it up very well so that when it came to reporting, we really didn't have any problems. And I feel like the next round for the new settlement probably will be similar. So I think the way we set this grant application up will feed right into the data reporting requirements. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Laura?
Well, I think you do a great job, and I just had a question about sustainability, but it looks like the committee is already addressing those issues, because I know with grants, that's always a question about how you're going to continue on once the grant funding is gone. So
Absolutely.
thank you for including that.
Yeah, just for the benefit of those maybe watching online, kudos to you and the whole committee, because we really are a model that's cited around the state for how to effectively and efficiently put these funds to work. It's one thing to just get them and have somebody hand you a pot of money. It's another thing to know what to do with them. And this committee has just functioned so well, and I'm really excited and happy to keep the process moving forward. So thank you, and thank you, Rodney, and everybody else, and Ashley, everybody that's on the committee. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
people are in this room that are
Yeah,
on the
I'm sorry.
committee. They're
I know I'm
working.
missing people, and I'm
Yeah, they're
sorry about
working
that.
really, they
Yeah.
work really hard. It is a lot of work, but I appreciate the help, and they do an amazing job, so.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other questions, then I'd entertain a motion to approve the recommendations of the committee.
Second.
Mary makes that motion. I have Jeff with the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. That motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, an update on Central Dispatch with Renee, and I believe you all saw a copy of the email that Renee sent out, but I did ask her to come and just speak real briefly too, because we're going to start seeing these things in transfers and additional appropriations, and I wanted to have the full picture
Absolutely. That's
explanation.
why I sent that email
Yeah.
and just so you kind of also knew. So kind of back up last year during budget process. So I told you we were going to add a fifth position. That's part of our budget process. We wanted to add a fifth position, replace the 4 consoles we have, kind of do some updates. I had a budgetary quote of 100,000, and that was what we put in the budget for this year. So once we got into 2024, then doing like all of our research, we went to Hancock County. They have the consoles that we are going to have, and we wanted to make sure we kind of put the brakes on because we thought we would be like beginning of the year, go ahead and get things ordered. I wanted to make sure we did it right. We haven't done anything since, Central Dispatch was built in 2010. We opened January 3rd of 2011, and I wanted to make sure we had everything covered, taking us into the future, because it's going to last us a long time. Everything that we have done, our consoles, all of those, they have lasted us well. But I wanted to make sure we had everything that we needed to take us into the future. So with that, there were additional costs. So just off the top of, with the console project, so the final amount with the consoles was going to be $132,930.20. And I did go to the commissioners last week, and everything was approved moving forward with this project. So then we had additional things. We need to update our electric. And then we also need electric ran to our fifth position as well. So we did quotes and things like that as well, moving forward with that. And as you saw in my email, like I had a list of things, and instead of doing an additional, and taking out of our cash, because I do have money in our cash, I was like, since we haven't had the fifth position in yet, so I have money for the salary from dispatchers. So I thought it was more appropriate to transfer from what I had budgeted to cover all of these things. And on that list, if you want me to go through one by one, but we will transfer quite a bit of that money from dispatch into some of our line items. We had additional equipment that had to be purchased. You will see I talked to Britt, and we made a new line item just called 2024 remodel. So that will we're going to paint also. Dispatch has not been painted. We have lots of dings in there, and that was $2,850. So we're adding that. The electric, we also have to pay 2 of our vendors, our radio vendor and our phone vendor. They have to also come, and for the tear down, they have to take out the computers and everything, and then they have to be there to reinstall those. That's not something that would be for Tim, because if something would happen, those vendors need to be there. So we also have to pay for that. And so those will go under the 2024 remodel. I did a transfer to equipment to cover our clocks, which were already approved by the commissioners a couple months ago. We wanted to go ahead and get those ordered that we're going to need. And then, as you know, last year we had an extra lit money that came in, and we've used half of that already, and half of that was used for our phone to purchase for the fifth position. We still had $25,293.06 left, and so for IT things that we're going to need for this, I just wanted to clear that amount out. I didn't want to leave $200 and some left just hanging out there. So that entire amount's going to go over and transfer into the computers and peripherals, so that we have all of that covered, because we are purchasing additional monitors. We're going to go from 5 monitors to 7. We are also, because we're changing the layout of the room. Right now, the only door we control is our door in and out. Well, we have those cameras up on our front wall. Well, we're going to have 3 positions that are not facing the front anymore. So we're going to add another monitor at each of the positions so that you don't have to turn around and find the camera wherever you're sitting. You can see it on one of the monitors, and you can go ahead and open the door from wherever you're sitting. We're also adding black boxes at all the positions. We currently, if you come down, take your pick on 3 keyboards and 3 mice sitting there. So Tim has been played a big role in this. He got one so we could, some of the things like we're doing, Tim had gotten like a black box so that everybody could sit at one of the positions and use. So it will consolidate all of our mice and keyboards into one. So we're just trying to take things into the future, clean things up a little bit so it's not so chaotic in there with things. And I just wanted to make sure we did it right. And I feel like I didn't want to get halfway through and think, oh, I wish we would have done this or that. And we really, we took, when we went to Hancock County, we've been twice. Tim went with Chris and I one time, and then one time Chris and I took somebody from each shift. So we're just trying to make sure all of our bases are covered, and also by us moving, putting our door camera and some of those things at our position, that will free up the one large monitor on our wall. So when the annex is completed, I'm sure there will be cameras in there, and that we can put those cameras on that monitor and not have to buy another one, because we have courthouse cameras already on there as well. So that's kind of the gist of
Yeah,
everything.
no,
I know it's a long
big-
rambling.
big picture, yeah.
But, I wanted you all to understand, because you will have multiple transfers today. I also went ahead and submitted 2 additionals, that those won't be until next month, but I wanted to go ahead and get those in. And one of those is also, I put on there, last year we did the additional appropriation for our phone position. But in December, we paid half of it, and the other half needs to go. So of course, that money
Yeah.
went back
Rolled.
it rolled back. So I wanted to go ahead and get those 2 additionals turned in. Those will come next month before you, but I've turned them in already with
So
the
the
other
2 would be
transfers.
the other half of the phone payment plus the remainder
Yes,
of the special
yes,
distribution?
yes.
Okay. Makes sense.
So.
Yeah, no, that makes, that,
I know
appreciated the way
Mary,
you-
she came down, I don't know, when was it, a month or 2 ago? And so I actually got to show her our
Yes.
drawings and things like that. But, we're hoping, they said it would be about 8 weeks for the consoles. And just so you know, it will be a process. It'll be a 2-week process. And we're probably going to take down our back 2 positions. And to begin with, we're also going to utilize our backup dispatch center as well.
Good.
In conjunction with the 2 positions that will stay active in central dispatch during the process, but we will have 2 over there during that first week. If we can get the new position and the back 2 done, then we should be able to stay in central dispatch that second week, because then they will do the tear out of the front 2. But if not, we can go back to FPD. But
Okay.
so I think we've got our bases all covered, and we're looking forward to it. So.
Well, thank you for the way you laid that all out on paper. That made it very easy to follow and to follow along with what the plan was, so I appreciated that. So, as Renee indicated, some of these will show up later when we do the transfers for appropriation, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Thanks, Renee.
One last new business item that I neglected to tell Janet to put on the agenda, and I apologize, but that's Chris. Chris, I want, Chris Overman at Parkview, I forward again an email that Chris had sent to me, but for the benefit of the public and for the benefit of kind of setting the stage for an additional appropriation to come, I wanted to give Chris a few minutes to work through his latest situation here.
Good morning. Yeah, 106-year-old building, what do you know? So they came out to fix the coils, that's what we're here about today, the 11.6. I can handle half of it, that's why I'm asking for the 5,600. While they were there, they decided to do PM, which they're contracted for. They went out to the outside chiller, circuits down, leaking, R22 Freon now, $1,600 a container. So that's the one I sent you, but that, like Renee said, that'll be next month. But I wanted to make you guys aware of it, you have a copy. But that's what I'm here for today, is the coil repair for the air handler.
Okay. Oh, yeah, here's the quote that Chris gave me, if you want to pass it around for the one, that'll be for next month.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So we heard about the initial one last month. It took till this month to catch up with the official advertising of the appropriation. We're doing that same thing again because as they were on site, they found some additional work that needed done. He's notifying us today. We'll do the paperwork, let it catch up for next month.
Right.
So that was a little bit confusing and it was starting to kind of pile up there and I wanted Chris to take a moment to address us about it.
Yeah, it's
So-
two separate.
Yeah, so we'll get that additional here shortly in a minute when we get through that list, but any questions for Chris while he's here? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And that does move us on to old business, first of which is the additional appropriation slate for this month. Beginning with the general fund. Let me see. Okay. This one is kind of to tie up a loose end. You'll recall we talked about this at budget time, but we moved our interpreter position last year during the budget cycle, and we had some contributions to cover that salary from multiple sources, but we knew even then that we didn't move enough money to cover that entire salary, and we waited to see whether events would transpire that it would an obvious funding source would make itself apparent. But what we're going to end up doing is just taking $10,000 out of the cash balance of county general to finish that salary position for the interpreter for the courts for fourth floor. So $10,000 for interpreter position. Superior Court, we got a repayment of some pauper attorney fees, $100.50. We'll reappropriate that to the pauper attorney line. And then $5,600, the one that Chris just referred to for Irish Mechanical for the repairs at Parkview Homes. So total for county general of $15,750. Highway Department, we received our NDOT reimbursement on Bridge 67, $68,743.97. So we're reappropriating that into the bridge fund for use on Bridge 67 for any future expenses that may be needed. Drug-free community. This is another one of the Drug and Alcohol Coalition, another one of those where we appropriate their cash balance for use into several line items throughout the year. $13,970 for prevention, $13,970 for criminal justice, $13,970 for treatment, $1,164 for the coordinator position, $3,482.60 for miscellaneous, for a total amount of $46,558.06. Board of Health has a few items here. $2,500 is to put some additional funding in our training and education line item. Now that we have additional staff, we have a need for additional education and training. $7,500 for office equipment. Rodney has reported in recent months about an expansion in the building, so this is going to be for the construction and the materials of the two new office positions. And then $2,500 for the electrical associated with that expansion. And that totals $12,500. From NVH, County Highway, $137,000. This is some additional grant match money that we need for the extra community crossing award that we received. That's a 75-25 split. So this is the additional 25%. You can see Rick has been kind enough to include on the next page of our packet what the projects that are going to be covered by that total amount of $459,652. Some work on County Road 100 North, County Road 0 North-South, and County Road 340 North. So, but the additional amount that we need to put in is $137,000 for our portion. Recorder's Perpetuation Fund, we need to supplement an earlier request. Costs went a little bit over what we were expecting, $367 for bookbinding and repairs. We had more pages than we expected. Travel Immunization Fund, $3,000. This is to cover the contract fee with our vendor VaxCare. Law Enforcement Recording Fund, $480. This is some fees that were paid for documents that the fee was paid inappropriately, so we're refunding that fee back to the law firms that had paid because this data was received by subpoena, I guess. Yeah, obtained through another means, yeah. So we need to refund their funds, $480 out of that fund. Project income from Brett's Community Corrections, we received some more money through a Trex collection, $770. We'll reappropriate that for Brett's use. And then finally, Wildcat Solid Waste District. Each year in the budget, we have some recycling programs that receive funding through the district, and Clinton Central has made their request for the recycling center on campus there, $12,000 for that program. And that is your May slate of appropriations. Any questions or needs for clarification on any of those? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Motion by Jeff to approve. Mary has the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. So we do have a few transfers, and this is where we get into some of Renee's items that she just discussed with us. First of all, before we get to that, Circuit Court, $231.25 from overtime to a part-time interpreter position. Okay, from statewide 911, $5,000 from shift supervisors to overtime, $4,020.60 from the dispatcher line item to equipment, $32,930.20 from dispatchers to Shelby Products, that's related to the equipment for this project, $18,785 from dispatchers to the remodeling costs. That is all for this round. Let's see, I think we have one more here on Health Department. $3,000 from the lead coordinator to equipment to buy a new lead analyzer. Do I have a motion to approve those transfers?
So moved.
Motion by Todd.
Second.
By Mike. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. We also have received our monthly financial and budget status reports that the auditor provides us. I'd like to have a motion that we've received that from the auditor.
Those have been received?
Okay, I have a motion by Jeff. Do I have a second? Second by Mary. To note that for the record, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. And that brings us to our reports. Any council reports that anybody has to share with the group? Nothing this month? Nothing. Okay. Commissioner reports, anything? I believe we have one commissioner in the room. Anything, Commissioner Weaver?
No, nothing on our side.
Okay. And then lastly, department heads. Any department heads who haven't already spoken? Sheriff.
I'm going first. Poor Robin. We too visited the Hancock Sheriff's Office, and we really like it. So it's a great model to look at, and I know that I think some commissioners went over there as well. So think about that. We need a new facility, and then Renee wouldn't have to do her upgrade. All right, I know it's going to take some time. A couple things I've presented to the commissioners, some service plans. I just got one today on my desk for the generator. It's a service plan, the PM on it, the yearly maintenance of it. And so that's something that we'll have to look at, and I'll submit it to you. And I think it's very reasonable. And I think this is around $500 for the price on it. Full service is $1101.57, and then the inspection is $530, and it's for the generator at the facility, so we have to have it. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm just giving that to you. Corson Heat, Fire, and Security, they also service plan for all the fire equipment, and I'll submit that to you as well, and get that on the.
Is that a new one?
Yeah, I think it's a new one.
For that new equipment?
It's $6,500, and it is for the
internal service or pipe service plan and a 5-year pipe inspection, and it has to happen. We have to have the fire suppression equipment inspected every year to coincide with the Department of Corrections as well as local laws as well as state laws, and also the federal inspection on the building.
But those are both new, they're over and above the service and maintenance item we already have, is what I guess I was trying to.
Yes.
They're new ones. Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
they're new ones. They're above and beyond. Bad news is, we need a new laundry machine. I think this was this is, the strange thing, I guess, that we're facing now is I think it's around 16,000 to repair and 17,000 and some change to replace with a new unit.
That's an easy decision.
So we're going to go ahead with a new unit. I've kind of jumped out there. I've already ordered the new unit, and so I just wanted to give you that. It's $17,960. We have to have it. We've got 2 washing machines, and they run almost constantly, at least a minimum of, if we're thinking about shifts, 2 shifts a day. They're doing laundry, and so we just have to have it before we destroy the other washer by overrunning it. So that's something that we'll have to do as well. I also have an estimate for lighting, but I'm going to wait until I get the other 2 estimates. We had a electrical issue, I think, and Mr. Corey probably knows all about this, down at the fairgrounds, and then that, sometimes
Goose?
we had ballast that they no longer work, and so we're in the process of, and it's all back in some of the pods where the inmates are at. We're okay with the lighting that's there, but we do have to have those replaced, and I'm just waiting on the next 2 estimates to give to the commissioners as well as to you folks. And we're looking, I'm going to guess the first one was around, and I hate to give the bid number out, but I'm going to guess we're going to be in the neighborhood under 20,000 to get that repaired. So that's really where we're at, is replacing those ballasts and those lights that were damaged. And there's also the QPH provides an annual preventative maintenance to the HVAC system, and that's $5,535. And I'll get these sent to you over the next here this afternoon, so you can look at them.
So what are we, about 12,000 there in new service plans?
Yes. And I also had a question. We put the big numbered project of the computer system for the HVAC.
Right.
And the commissioners have seen it, and the actuators, the mixing valves that need to be replaced for the new chillers. And I didn't know where we were at on that project.
Well, the conversation that I had with Commissioner Brewer was just simply that they were still evaluating
Okay.
what the whole need was and whether it could be broken up into components or whether it had to be done all at once and all of that. So I was just still kind of waiting for what the number was going to be.
Commissioner Weaver? Okay. So I don't know, I mean, it's something that we need to get to pretty quickly,
Okay.
because we're gonna stress out those chillers and.
I'll circle back around.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to probably look at that project, and I don't know if they want, just like anything, if we can do it in sections, if we can, pay for it, that's you guys'. So, but I think the sooner we get to that project, the better,
Okay.
I do believe. So, and I'll get with Commissioner Brewer, and we'll talk about
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
see if we can get it done.
I mean, I don't think there was any hesitation to let's get it fixed. I
Right,
think it was just
right.
which is the best way to go about it.
My 1994 Apple is almost done.
It's almost done.
I mean, and that's Sheriff Hensley. You know where it's at. It's right there by the wash bay in the
Yeah.
closet. So I mean, we are playing with fire when it comes
Mike
to
bought
that
the best
computer.
though back in 1994, didn't you?
It was the best. It was
Made it
the
to
best.
2024.
1994. It's a long time for one computer to be running.
Yeah.
And we've talked with Tim about it, and I think Tim, you've seen it, haven't you? So, and we need to get to it.
We're going to take it right to the County Historical Society. Our own little Smithsonian.
Third floor of Old Stony.
Yeah,
It'll
there
be
you
there.
go.
And one other thing, we have the yearly maintenance on the sheriff's office, where and for this fair, informational products, things like that. So I'm going to ask if we can do the informational products and the grounds maintenance, which is, replacing a few things that didn't live over the summer or over the winter, and just replace landscape, things like that. We also have some banners that need replaced. So if we could, get approval for about $3,000, I think we can cover everything. And I don't even think we used very much of it last year.
That would be from commissary.
From commissary.
Yeah, so, and you're wanting that motion now?
Sure.
Let's break that down. Can we do 4,000 for fair giveaways and about 1,500 for what we're going to deem as landscape? That's to replace, like right now, it's Police Memorial Week, so we have the blue line flag display with the banner. All those items need to be replaced for next year. They're looking a little raggedy, and we had to improvise with the banner this year. As well, it's our annual flowers and stuff that goes out front to spruce up the landscape. We had inmates out yesterday weeding, and I think the front facade looks pretty great. And we have a steaming power washer now. We've talked with some folks, and we've purchased some products to help clean the limestone on the front because it is just blackened from the rain and debris. And so just those type of items to clean up the facade. So
So tell me those
4,000 for
numbers
fair
again.
giveaways, 1,500 for landscape
Okay.
issues.
Okay, so there's your request. Can you talk a little bit about what we do at the fair giveaways? We talk about fair giveaways, but I don't know what we give away. What
It's
is?
the informational brochures that we give out with county information, with the sheriff's office information. Also, the things that everybody gets, walks around to every booth with the phone number to the sheriff's office, things like that on it. Typically, it's cups, pencils, and pens, things like that we provide to the community.
Okay.
We also use leftovers for the senior fair. When we attend the senior fair, they love yardsticks and things of that nature.
Yes.
It's those items.
It's those items.
Make
Okay.
a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Jeff to approve that. I have a second, I believe, by Mary. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Do you have a question?
Just being the new person on the
Absolutely.
block.
Ashley, you shouldn't walk away.
Well, just like Renee did, is there any chance that you could give us a little more information so that we can digest it with our packets? The financial information such as where you would like the money to come from?
Sure.
Would that be
Yes.
possible?
And I was going to come back to that here in just a second on some of these things. And for the most part, like the washer, it's $17,900 and some dollars. We're going to purchase that out of commissary, and almost everything on this could be covered through our commissary fund. So that way, it doesn't take anything away from county general and things like that. I mean, it's a program that absolutely provides and gives us the ability to do those things and to purchase that equipment. And, and throughout the kitchen of that facility, I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars for stoves and things like that, and fire suppression system, things like that. And it's almost all paid for through the commissary fund. And it is, and we should have brought that up. And I think it's kind of a given that a lot of that stuff we take care of through in-house, through the commissary fund, for the fact that the money's there, and that's what it's for, is to redo and get things done, and it's for the maintenance of the facility, the upkeep of the facility, and as well as taking care of inmate needs, and part of that is, the interior of the facility and that. So that's what we use the commissary fund for. So, and I will be in there all afternoon, and I know you got a meeting after this, but we've talked about this with Mr. Corey as well. You guys are more than welcome to come over there anytime, and I know it's hard juggling schedules, things like that, but we will literally be there till almost 3 o'clock this afternoon, so doing commissary, so come see us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay, we had 45 plus applicants for the 3 positions as advertised. For the merit position, deputies that go out and work on the road, we're down to 18. So we're doing backgrounds on 18 people and the preliminary things before it goes to the merit board for selection to hire. So having that, and I think I said it in the commissioners meeting, having that many applicants is just, it's absolutely fantastic. So, with that, as I told the commissioners, we're doing things right, we're getting things done right, and I'm talking as a county, to be able to advertise and bring people in from several different states that have come to apply, other agencies where people have worked, and so everything may be pretty gloom on the 5 o'clock news, but just like anything, I think we're doing it right here in Clinton County. And, hats off to our council, to our commissioners, and to everything that we got going on here in the community, because 45 applicants plus is pretty unreal for the positions. So we're narrowing it down, and we'll hopefully have valid hires in July. And we had a process here recently that we didn't hire anybody, and and it's just one of those things that it's we've got to be very particular on the officers that we're bringing to our community, and and the vetting system that's in place is pretty strong. So out of the 18, hopefully we'll see 3 and hopefully hold a couple in a pool. So pretty excited about that.
That's great news.
So if anybody has any questions, anything like that, just stop by, visit, and, and just like what you requested, we'll do that for you and get you some more information. But also in person is great too, to come check it out.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Am I missing anything? So
Okay.
there's always a lot going on. So just like anything, the biggest thing is, the hiring process, and like I say, it's just fantastic to be able to look at that many applications, that many people from, every part of the Midwest. And I'd had some some questions from people out in Pennsylvania and on the East Coast. So
Wow.
we're still okay here in the Midwest. We're doing right. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Good question.
Any other department heads? I see them looking at each other. Yeah. Stephen Decker at EMS.
I updated the commissioners, just want to give you guys an update as well. Still working with Acumed and our medical record system to finalize that contract, the updated contract. Ultimately, it's going to reduce our contractual fee that we owe to Acumed, our billing company, from 6% to 4.9%. If you asked me 6 months ago how I felt about this, I probably would have said we should look at our competitor's office of 5%, but Acumed recently partnered with a very large corporation that is nationwide, one of the largest medical billing companies, and they just partnered with them, so it's going to offer us a lot more data, a lot more insight into our billings, our collections, and stuff like that. So I think that it's a good move. Ultimately, it'll save us about $15,000 a year.
Great.
So,
All right.
good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rodney?
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Wanted to do a little bit of, first of all, some housekeeping on getting a report to you. I did to the commissioners, our annual report. I'll let you get those. We produce this and send it to the state usually at the end of February. It had been sitting in my box, and with everything else we've been doing this year so far, it kind of passed by me. So I did want to get it to you. And again, we'll probably be looking at expanding that format next year because we've got new staff, and you can only get so much on one of these little things. So, again, this is our numbers out of last year, 2023, as well as some of our service numbers and program service numbers. So.
Okay.
Another thing I wanted to bring up was a recent call I was on with the state, Dane and I, elevated lead levels testing. We already do that. Obviously, you guys just looked at an analyzer. We are on the call, and the state is now less likely to provide us what is called the risk assessment, which is the environmental, whereas the source part of that, they have been providing that support intermittently over the last several years. They lowered those thresholds last summer, and we've been operating on higher case counts. So I'm looking to probably want to come, and I haven't talked to the commissioners. I'll obviously tell them this month still, but next month I may be coming to ask for money to look to train 3 people to do that lead risk assessment piece. We have some individuals in the health department that have had experience and or just What we're doing right now is partnering with Hamilton County. We got a good relationship. A buddy of mine runs Hamilton County, so he just actually sent a gal up this week, or last week, I should say, and they went out and did one of our lead risk assessments. We do the educational piece and talking about what needs to be done to lower the lead level in the individual, and usually that other person's looking and testing the house to find out where it is that this source is coming from. So that piece is no longer available. We need to be providing it ourselves, and the states, that's part of their core services that we're now expanding upon. So when we talk about Health First money, that's part of it. So I don't think that we want to hire just someone to do that. So what I've done is had Dana talk with her staff, and I've talked with some others, and we've isolated 3 folks that are willing to take that training. The piece of equipment's about $25,000 in order to buy that equipment. So it's a small, probably infrared type analyzing device. So there'll be that request, as well as I think it's about $1,300 and something per person to train. It's in Greencastle, so likely there'll be some travel expenses. So I just wanted to brief you on that and let you know ahead of time so you can be thinking about it. So
Appreciate the heads up.
Sure. I did ask for approval last commissioners meeting to seek quotes to put on in addition to the building now that the first right of refusal is in place. So
Okay.
if I get those one of those past the commissioners later on, then I'll be talking to you about that as well. So, okay.
All right. Thank you, Rodney.
Yes, Rodney.
Anybody else? I think maybe we've heard from the others already. Any other member of the gallery have any business to bring before the council? Okay, seeing and hearing none, call the meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
And our percentage here is not very good.
Back to Burry School last week.
Yes, 291.
They did a test on his blood for lead.
You think that's it?
That is.
Well,
They came home and said, we'll get them to emergency.
Do they consider birds like go to this commercial?
And as
You know, are they not counting them if they go to